Patient Voices is proudly supported by sponsors who have no editorial control over the content. Hi, everyone. I'm Yvonne Diaz, and I'm a co-founder of Oncogene Cancer Research, and I'm really pleased to be joined again with Mel Irwin, who's living with stage 4 EGFR lung cancer here in London. In part one of our conversation, Mel shared her diagnosis story, how she went from having some initial signs to what was initially a curative treatment, and then later finding out she had stage 4. So we're just going to get straight into what was going on once she was diagnosed with stage 4 EGFR lung cancer. So welcome back, Mel.
Thank you. Yeah, I was diagnosed with stage 4 in around April of 2024. I knew already that it was coming because these 10 little twinkling tumours had been identified 2 years earlier, but had been growing indolently, which is a beautiful word that my doctor used. Your tumours are indolent, which means lazy. And I have never been lazy in my life, but indolent tumours I will take. So on diagnosis, I really took my time. At that point in my cancer experience, I felt very much a person, not a patient. And when I was first diagnosed, I was a patient. I was sick. I was unable to advocate for myself. I didn't even know what I would be advocating for because I didn't have the information. I just was compliant. Once I was diagnosed with stage 4, it was a totally different ballgame. So I'd done my research. I knew what the different options were. I knew I wanted to go on holiday and I didn't want to start my drug straight away. And my team weren't thrilled, but equally, that was my choice. I was so concerned about side effects. You look at the literature that comes with your drug, you look online, and some people have more dramatic side effects than others. And I didn't want to go on holiday having diarrhea in the car all the way to the south of France. Thank you very much. So I decided to delay it. I made that choice. They accepted it. And it gave me time to kind of process that, okay, here we go. I've got this diagnosis. There is a great drug for me. I just have to take one a day. It's not like chemo. It's far from chemo. And I will manage the side effects one way or the other. And actually, for me, it turns out the side effects are really quite minimal. So far, it comes in cycles, right? So we all know that in a couple of weeks, I might have a whole other suite of side effects, but I've never had gastric problems. I have problems with my skin, and I mean, you can't see it now, but really bad problems with my nails. So that's a big thing for me. And neuropathy. So I can't feel my fingertips very well, which isn't registered as a side effect of osimertinib. But when you speak to my oncologist, he says, if you've had chemo and then you go onto this drug, it is quite possible you will get neuropathy. And I also have it in my feet. So it makes life a bit difficult for picking things up, doing up buttons, etc. But I think compared to chemo, for me, it is a walk in the park, frankly. Like sometimes I forget I've got cancer. I'm getting on with my life. I'm cycling. I'm playing with my granddaughter. I'm on a podcast, and I don't feel that my body is cancery. I've just got these little things here. But as I said earlier, the rest of me is doing well. So I'm fortunate. I'm aware that I am fortunate.
Yeah, no, that is incredible. And look, you raised so many interesting and important things there. I think, first of all, people talk about shared decision making, and in the first line setting, when you started your treatment, you're really not able to participate, right? And so it's so hard. You need to be informed before you can participate. We're also so vulnerable when we're first diagnosed, right? You're terrified. You just heard these words you never expected. And then it's amazing that you did, even though it's never great to progress, no one wants this, but you did have a long period of notice, right? These indolent cancer cells. I love that word too. And 2 years, many people would also have found that really challenging and to know something slow might be growing. So I don't know if you have any advice for how you managed your mental health around that.
So it's a really good point you raise. How do we cope with the unknown and the unknowable? I think there are a few things that help me. One is I have a counsellor, and I have done since I was diagnosed. In fact, I'd had one before in previous parts of life that were challenging. So She's actually an expert in cancer counselling, and she has had cancer herself. And I still see her only once a month now, but I still do. I think looking after my body, eating well, moving, these things help me to feel like my body is well. My body is well. My body is well. You know, it's a mantra that I am not living with cancer in every part of my body. I took up cycling. That also helps me. So I think there's so many different strands. I think I'm fortunate that I am essentially quite an optimistic person, but it doesn't mean I don't have dark days. I do. And the darkness hits around scan time and waiting for results. Also when people in the community are lost, when we lose people that we care about. That is dark and painful. And there is nothing to make that okay because it isn't okay. And you sit in that
Yeah.
loss and that sorrow and that pain and that anger and that lack of justice. It's painful. Like I'm shivering now. It just hurts.
Mm,
And so
mm.
thinking about people we've lost causes sorrow, and the impact on my loved ones, or the projected potential impact on my loved ones, causes really complicated feelings. But in terms of my own health, it's a sort of, it sounds so Pollyanna-ish, doesn't it? And kind of like, how is this true? Is this toxic positivity? But I don't think it is. There is some extraordinary ability to just notice what is good in the world today. And that is what gets me through. Here I am, I've got stage 4 cancer. It's just a word. I prefer to call it not yet curable cancer. That works for me. Like one day it'll be curable. It just isn't yet. And, the drugs will keep me going until it is. And who knows, we're all individuals. Some of us will live for 8, 18, 28 years. Some of us not. And we don't know which one we are. So I do have hope. It's like the wonderful Eric Singy doctor, the lung onc doc said, hope is positive, realistic optimism. It's not kind of, oh, I hope it's sunny today in a vague way. It's the hope comes from realistic options and treatments and other ways of living with lung cancer rather than dying from it. So I believe that, but I know that there's also the opposite, that we lose young people and we lose people who have been recently diagnosed, and there is no fairness or justice or reason for it. There's no way of making that okay.
So many of us have cancer guilt because you think, why me? Why am I responding? But the thing is, we don't know for how long, and we just can't carry that with us. It's really challenging. We do have to sit. I like all the words you were saying. And I think all the things you're doing to manage your mental health, whether it's speaking with a counselor, engaging in exercise, engaging with the community. It's really kind of strangely perverse. I find that we get so much positive energy from being around other sick people, if I can call it that, right? We meet so many amazing advocates who sometimes I feel like maybe I'm having a bad day and I looked at someone else having a worse situation and I just go snap out of it.
Yeah.
And look at what you do have. So I think that's brilliant advice, Mel. I wanted to come to also the side effects that you were talking a little bit about. You did mention about the skin and the neuropathy. Those are quite changing, and also the fears, the fact that you delayed your medication and trying to enjoy that last holiday. People, I have heard people having terrible gastric issues, unable to leave not only the house but the bathroom.
Yeah.
So I want to share on what you're doing for your nails or how you're getting through this neuropathy, and have you spoken with anyone else about it?
I have. Each of the oncogene driven cancers has their support group, and there are two for EGFR that I know of, one in the UK and one in the US. And often those people in the private Facebook groups, they know way more about side effects than my team. Of course they do, because they're living with them. So when my nails have fallen off in the past, it's really uncomfortable and annoying. And when I ask the questions and post the photographs, to me, this is a fairly minor thing. I'm aware that I've been through chemo. It was devastating. Others are going through it now. So to me, they feel quite minor because I will take these side effects if it means I get to live. But the community often have the answers. Try this cream, try that. Just knowing that, yeah, actually, we've all got one way or the other. And although it is frustrating that I can't open jars and undo my buttons and peel things off anything, and it is annoying, but it's not painful. And if it were painful and disrupting my life, if I was on the loo every 5 minutes, I would be down. And I totally understand why people are. That's an awful experience. It's like being in chemo actually, if you're having gastro problems. So I think I kind of frame it in a I can handle this. This is okay. Whether it's taping up my fingers, using certain creams, having hot and cold treatment on my feet, whatever it might be, going to the podiatrist, terrible. Actually, it was pain in my big toes, ingrown toenails that go right into the skin. It was agony. And I thought, oh, that's just a side effect. I'll live with it. But I went to the podiatrist. He cut out the edges of each of my big toenails. And within half an hour, I was not in pain anymore. So sometimes you can do something about it. It's just that your team don't necessarily know what that is, but your community team, your fellow cancer crew do. So it has been the biggest gift.
I love that because we have thousands of people who are part of our care team. And I love that view. That's such a great way to see it. The other thing I wanted to come to is as a stage 4 patient, we're always thinking ahead to what comes next, right? We unfortunately know while we're living this great life and we know side effects can change. Frankly, the cancer will escape at some point, right? But we do have people who are responding to all of our targeted therapies for years. And ideally, we want more and more people to be those long-term responders. So tell me about your own thoughts about this as an EGFR patient as well.
So there are new first-line treatments available for EGFR positive lung cancer patients. When I was first diagnosed, none of these drugs were available at all. Standard chemo and radio and surgery. And then maybe 6 months after my treatment, the drug Tagrisso, osimertinib, was introduced to EGFR positive lung cancer community, and it's been a huge success. But even in this period of 5.5 years since I was diagnosed, there are now other trials that have happened, other combinations of osimertinib plus chemo, or two brand new drugs that weren't even being mentioned when I was first diagnosed. And they are new first line treatments. Bingo. Like, I couldn't be happier that there are new treatments available as first line, the data of which shows that progression free survival and overall survival are improved. This is a win for the community. But for me and lots of other people like me with EGFR positive, there isn't yet an approved second line targeted therapy treatment. A nice little pill that you can take every day. There isn't that yet. And actually, at the moment in the UK anyway, the second line treatment is really back to chemo land you go. And it frustrates me, if I'm being perfectly frank, enormously. I don't understand it. What is going on? We've got these drugs. There's a new first line one. Is there a trial? And I think there is, looking at whether that drug would work as a second line or further third line treatment, but it's not available here. Apart from if you've got private healthcare. And if you've got private healthcare in the UK, you might be able to get it. But if you're with the NHS, that National Health Service, like I am, you cannot. You could pay for it, and it would cost you around about £5,000 a month from your own money. So the kind of what next? And I don't think it's just EGFR. I think it's lots of different lung cancers. I think we deserve more. No, I want the next second line and third line treatments that are less toxic than pure chemo on its own. Bring that on. What do we need to do? Do we need to campaign? Do we need to write to our MPs? Do we need to speak to pharma? What is the block? And it's the same with so many others. We are not done. And I wonder if people don't realize that, because of the perception that stage 4 means you're about to pop your clogs, that we should be happy that we got the 8 years or the 5 years or the 2 years. But no, we're well, we have families, we have jobs, we have life, we have community. We want more. That's not enough for us.
You could have said it better. I couldn't have said it better. I mean, this is so, so true that we're grateful for what we do have, but we're always looking ahead. I go to a lot of medical conferences, and when I look at the data for the second line setting, and you look at, 4 or 6 months progression-free survival, it's just not good enough. You think you barely got a scan or two out of that. And research needs to absolutely do a lot more for our community. And definitely, I think the UK could do a lot more. We need clinical trials in our country, right? Because some of those things you're saying, you need private insurance, you can access drugs via a trial, but we need a better environment here in the UK. So
Yeah, we really.
I think a lot more of us could get together and use our voices.
I think so. Where there is injustice, there is no point just sitting there feeling negative, miserable, trapped. Like, let's do something about this. We've seen someone do that recently and campaign, a fellow lung cancer patient who has managed to get the symptoms of lung cancer out in Boots the chemist, in the biggest chemist in the land, near the medication that you might take if you had a cough. So it's the relentlessness and the life force and the kind of coming together and saying, I don't know if you realize, but we have lung cancer. I know we look like normal human beings going about the world, but we have stage 4, advanced, not yet curable lung cancer, and we're not done, and we deserve more life. And that all connects to
Bravo.
stigma, doesn't it? Because that's a whole other chapter, but I've decided we need a new hashtag, smash the stigma. Smash it. You've got it. I've got it. We could show you people in their 20s with it. They deserve more. I met a woman at a conference recently with kids. She's reached the end of the line of her treatment. She's in her late 30s. She doesn't have money to go and buy drugs. What next for her? It's
No,
shocking,
exactly.
and it isn't acceptable. And that's where the movement comes in. And that's why all of us coming together, all the mutations and all the lung cancers coming together and saying, this is what it looks like, and we're not done, and we need your help. What do we have to do?
Exactly. I love that. That's certainly been our message at Oncogene Cancer Research, right? I have ALK, you have EGFR. You meet so many other people, and you just think, frankly, we all need better options. So, but we can do so much more by working together. So, thank you so much for joining us and sharing these important words, Mel. We're going to come back and have a.
Sorry about the
Thank you.
ranting.
I love it. No, perfect. We all need to get on soapboxes.
We need to
So
rant.
let's do it. Thank you.